You're listening to the 88.3 FM WXUT, Toledo's only alternative radio station. It's currently 11 a.m. right now in the studio, and we are live from the Parks Tower in Toledo, Ohio. My name is Jeremiah Jefferson, and welcome to Vibing with JJ. We got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I kind of want to give an introduction to who I am and kind of like what I do and what I'm going to talk about. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Jeremiah Jefferson. Sometimes people call me JJ the Greatest or JJ. Those are mixing my nicknames or names. I'm currently a senior, about to graduate in December. So we got like 93 days until I graduate. So it's a pretty special time for me. My major is media communications. And what I want to do with that, I want to do video editing, which can potentially lead to me doing something maybe in social media and marketing. And so I have like a very big, like really interested in video editing, all that type of stuff. I'm real big into sports. I'm real big into music. I'm real big into telling jokes and being a funny guy. That's kind of an introduction to me. Today, I'm going to give you like an intro about the stuff that happened this weekend when it comes to college football, NFL, and then later on, we'll take a break later on, and I'll be talking about everything basketball when it comes to like NBA and stuff like that. We'll start off with college football that happened this weekend. So I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm a really big Ohio State fan. I've been a fan since I was like basically a kid, and I follow them each year, in which my favorite player from Ohio State is Braxton Miller. That's what I'm about to say. He was the first like quarterback that I watched when it came to Ohio State. Well, the first quarterback I watched was Terrell Pryor, but my first like overall quarterback or player that I love watching when I was watching Ohio State game was Braxton Miller, because he was so quick, so fast, was throwing the ball, throwing dots, was able to run with the football, and almost won Heisman. So Braxton Miller, that's my favorite Ohio State football player of all time. I'll start off with them. They faced Grambling this past weekend. It was a good bounce-back game after the game they had the week before against Texas, in which their defense really stepped up. And I was kind of concerned in regard to the defense because Ohio State had like 8 or 9 players who were like juniors or seniors who either graduated or basically went to the NFL. And so I was kind of like nervous about how our defense would step up, and our defense, I can commonly say, locked down, pretty much locking down Arch Manning in Texas. On the defensive side, I think we did really good. On the offense, I feel like we could do better. Texas is a really good defense, so there's going to be some struggle. And then Julian Sands, his first time being like the starter, official starter for us, so I feel like there'll be some struggles, but we got the win after the past week, so I feel good about this week. We shut out the Grambling Tigers 70-0. It was a straight lockdown. Julian Sain, I mean, he only had one pass that was basically like incomplete. Good 306, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but all quarterbacks throw interceptions. And then the rushing was good, and then the wide receiver is good, especially from Jeremiah Smith, who I believe is the best college football player in the nation, and especially the best wide receiver. If he went to the draft today, or if he went to the draft last year as a true freshman, and it was able to come out, he would have been a top 10 pick. I'm certain about that, because his weight and everything, he has the shape of an NFL body. It's almost like seen him compared to Julio Jones, Randy Moss, AJ Green. So I feel like when he gets in the draft like next year, I feel like he's going to be super big and ranked super high, maybe even be the first overall pick. I'm looking forward to his progression. He got one more year, and then another hot take when it comes to him. I feel like he's going to retire. No, not retire. He's going to leave Ohio State as the greatest college football wide receiver of all time, because he already has a national championship. We've never seen a true freshman, I don't think, like usually ever produce the way he produced, especially at Ohio State. I've never seen anything like that. So I feel like he's going to retire, or I keep saying retire, is going to leave and end up being Ohio State's greatest wide receiver of all time. So he's really good. When it comes to rushing, we have a few people like C.J. Donaldson, James People, and Bo Jackson. Not the old school Bo Jackson, the Ohio State running back, Bo Jackson. Had a 108, a touchdown, and you like to see production from all main facets of the game, and you love seeing that good into work. As far as the defense, had a stacked defense led by Caleb Downs, who's an All-American defender and can lock down basically anyone on the field, as well as some other people who's been there before, Davison Igbenonson, and then Sonny Styles. So we have like a few good experienced players, but everyone's new, but everyone did their job, and that was a good win when it comes to Ohio State. Hoping that they can continue that. We face Ohio this weekend at home, so we should be able to beat them, but seeing people say Ohio is pretty good, and we'll see what happens this weekend. When it comes to other games, Alabama, they bounced back from being defeated by Florida State last week, which when it comes to that game losing to Florida State, I never seen a quarterback or a player have a walking like a talking moment like how Florida State's quarterback did, and they backed it up and locked down and beat Alabama, basically mopped the floor on them. So everyone was questioning, like, oh, is Alabama good? Can they bounce back? Do they have the right coach, right system, right players, and everything? Well, Alabama took all that momentum and basically locked down ULM Monroe. And, I mean, it's a ULM Monroe, so I don't think anyone has, like, any expectation when it comes to them. But still, you got to handle your business, and Alabama handled the business. Time Simpson, I mean, he was perfect. Not just saying that subjectively, like literally objectively. He was 17 of 17 for 226, 3 touchdowns and a passer rating of 99.3. No, that's a really good passing game. Alabama, their defense stepped up, wide receivers stepped up, running backs stepped up. So everyone stepped up when it comes to Alabama, and we'll see how they do in the future. But I feel like after this game, last week's game was kind of a wake-up call to Alabama to produce better and to continue to improve this season. So we'll see how Alabama does and where they go from here. The next game that I want to talk about is the Michigan game. The Michigan-Oklahoma game. Oklahoma beat Michigan with a score of 23-14. And the story of that game when it comes to Oklahoma's, well, I'll start with Michigan's side since they lost. Bryce Underwood, he kind of struggled out there, 9 for 24, 142, no touchdowns, no interception with a QBR of 40.2. He struggled out there, in which he's a true freshman, so there are going to be games like that where he struggles, especially against a good Oklahoma team where they have good offense and good defense. They were pressuring him, making him confused out there. And Bryce Underwood, I feel like he's going to be fine. Obviously, he's a true freshman, so there'll be games like that where he may struggle and like that. Just him not having experience against a big top team like that, I feel like they'll be fine when it comes to the overall season. As far as their running back, Justin Sains, he had a good game, about 125, with a touchdown. I think he's a really good running back that they have in their running back room. I feel the past few years, they've had really good running backs lead their team, and that's what they want to do when it comes to their game plan. They want to run the football, play good defense, lock down defenders, and play a solid and consistent game. This game, they could really do that because Bryce Underwood kind of struggled out there. So I feel like when it comes to him and how hype that he has, some people may be like, oh, he's not that good. He's not worth the pick. I feel like he'll be fine. He's a true freshman, so he'll improve. He'll get better. And in their schedule, I feel like they'll be able to beat teams this year when it comes to their schedule. It'll all lead up to that OSU Michigan game, which I'm hoping that OSU, since I'm an Ohio State fan, I hope that we can come out and pull out the win. And I'm hoping that we can come down there and lock down Michigan, because I'm not used to us losing this many times in a row. I can understand how Michigan fans feel now. That might have been a little stray there, but I just had to say that. So I'm hoping we can come in and win. But Michigan, I feel like they'll improve this season. As far as Oklahoma, I feel like Oklahoma did really good. Their quarterback, John Mateer, had a really good game. 21-34 for 270 yards for a touchdown and interception, QBR 79.2. It has 74 rushing yards, which was pretty good because Michigan, they were hitting super hard. It was a real hard hitting game from what I saw. They were smacking out there. John Mateer, he's looking really good. I'm about to say people are saying that he might be a Heisman favorite. If he can play like how he played against Michigan, I can see that happening because I'm about to say he has experience coming down from Washington State. And then you have people around him, just like Deion Burks and then other people to help him out. So if John Mateer could be consistent, I mean, you don't want him running 19 times, which I feel like when it comes to the schedule, I feel like he won't be able to run that much. But against this team, against Michigan, who has a solid defense, when it comes to like locking down people, I feel like he did a really good job out there, staying composed and going through his progressions and make sure he's good. So Oklahoma looked real good, and they'll be a dangerous team to watch out for in these next few months. So be on the lookout for them. And then the last game that I want to talk about is the Florida USF game. That game, I saw that Florida was favored by I think more than 15 points. And they came out and lost to USF, which is not what you want to see for Florida. They got unranked. So that's an indicator of how bad the loss was. The thing that cost them is when their player spit on a dude's face, which is crazy. If someone spits in my face, we got a problem. Florida basically got costed because of that, and USF drove down the field and basically scored, took advantage, and was able to win the game on a field goal and take advantage of that. Florida, they got to fix their ways because their schedule is tough, and I mean super tough these next few games. 4 out of the next 6 games are all against ranked teams. They got to go against number 3 LSU, number 7 Texas the following week, number 16 Texas A&M the week after that, Mississippi State, who'll be a really good Arizona State team, and then face Georgia the week after that. So their overall schedule is looking super tough right now, and overall they got to just get better when it comes to being in sync and focus on the game. It's going to be super tough, but if they're able to pull this out and beat all those teams, then Florida's going to be a national championship contender. So we'll see how that goes. And then one more team that I want to talk about. Actually, I know I said that was the last team. Actually, I got one more team I want to talk about. The last team that I want to talk about is Florida State. They handled their business after beating Alabama. They had one of the best walking like a talking moment because their quarterback said that they don't got Nick Saban to save them anymore. And he backed it up and balled out. And they handled their business against East Texas A&M and locked them down 77-3. They're looking very dangerous. If they can continue this momentum, beat teams like Clemson and North Carolina, I know they struggle, but beat all the good teams in the ACC, I feel like they'll be really good this season and will for sure make the playoffs with their momentum because they jumped from unranked to number 14 basically after being Alabama and being that good. I feel like Florida State keeps their momentum up. I feel like they could be good and consistent throughout the whole season. Actually, I keep on saying I got one more team. One more team I want to talk about is the UT, since obviously I go to UT, so I want to talk about them. They beat Western Kentucky this weekend, and it was a really good game for them. They played a really good defense against Western Kentucky, and they were able to slow Western Kentucky down and was able to beat them like really good. The defense played well. The offense, we were already up 14-0 when it came to the game. And Chip Trayanum, he was super good. He was running all over the offense. He had 163 rushing yards, 11.6 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. When you got rushing yards like that, you're going to be good for the whole season. It was really good to see UT win. I'm hoping they can stay consistent within this whole season and can continue to find ways to get wins. So those are all the main games I want to talk about. Some predictions I have, I kind of give it like real quick. Ohio State, I got Ohio State being Ohio. Oregon being Northwestern. Oklahoma being Temple. Alabama could lose to Wisconsin. That should be a sneaky game where that could be like a trap game almost. So I feel like Wisconsin could have a good chance of beating Alabama. But if I had to choose, I'll choose Alabama to win that game. Michigan to beat Central Michigan, Auburn to beat South Alabama, Penn State to beat Villanova, and then Georgia and Tennessee. That should be a good game. And I think I got Georgia winning that due to their experience. And even though Georgia kind of struggled and played down to competition this last week, I feel they'll be able to handle their business and beat them. And then you got Iowa State. I got Iowa State winning their matchup. Missouri, Texas winning. And then I got Miami and South Florida. South Florida's USF has been on a roll this year. They've been beating teams. They beat Boise State. They just beat Florida. So they're deserving on their ranking. And they face Miami with Carson Beck. They're really good. Carson Beck has played well. So I got Carson Beck leading Miami to beat South Florida. I got Ole Miss beating Arkansas. LSU, like I was talking about Florida earlier. I talked about Florida, how they need these wins in order to keep their season afloat. If they're able to beat LSU, which LSU is a really good team, and are able to lock down, then I think they'll have a good chance to win because LSU played really good against Clemson. With Clemson, I kind of picked them to lose against LSU because Clemson kind of like struggled the past few years and took kind of like some bad losses. But I got LSU winning, and all these are all like the ranked opponents that I'm choosing right now. Notre Dame faces Texas A&M. Notre Dame, I really like Jeremiah Love. He's a really good running back. Probably, even though he hasn't came out guns blazing, I think I'm about to say Notre Dame. I think will win that game due to their defense and them stepping up and stuff like that. And then I got South Carolina beating Utah, and then got Toledo winning this weekend. That's all the college football games I have for this season. Now I want to talk about the NFL games that happened this weekend. Also, if you want to call into studio, the phone number is 419-530-4455. So if you want to say anything or call or make a call in, that's the number. So next I want to talk about NFL games that happened this weekend and some of my thoughts on them. First game, the Cowboys faced the Eagles. The Eagles, they handled their business against the Cowboys. It was surprisingly close than what I thought. I thought it was going to be a blowout. It was a good game by the Eagles. Cowboys were staying with it. Their offense was playing really good and was able to move the football against the Eagles' defense, which got affected a lot because Jalen Carter spit at Dak Prescott. All these spitting situations. I can't believe we're talking about spit in football. That's crazy. So that affected them a lot. And Jerry Jones traded Micah Parsons from the Cowboys to the Packers, and he wanted to talk about stopping the run, which, I mean, Saquon Barkley, he had like 60 yards on the game, which technically they did, but they couldn't stop Jalen Hurts from running the football because he ran for 60 and had 2 touchdowns. He kind of struggled out there. Technically, if you want to say quote unquote, they stopped the run, but not really like that. Eagles came out with a win. They got the Chiefs this week, which I'll give my prediction towards that later on. When it comes to the Chiefs, they lost to the Chargers 27-21. The Chiefs were down in this game. Xavier Worthy went down, and they were struggling. Then Patrick Mahomes was able to make a comeback at the end, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. It was too late. It's going to be a tough season for them because Xavier Worthy's injured. You got Rasheed Rice. He's not going to be there for 5 more games. And then Travis Kelce, he's older and can't really produce, is not really producing like how he used to. And your main receivers are Marquise Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster as your main wide receivers. That's not really ideal when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. So in order for them to win, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to carry them, like literally carry them to the finish line in order to win. The Chiefs is going to be tough for them, but it's the Chiefs. They could come around and win like the next games like they did last year, which I feel like last year they had some type of black magic crazy stuff that happened with their games, and that's how they won. When it comes to the Chargers, they did really good. They let Justin Herbert throw for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was a good game throughout. It was good production throughout the wide receivers, especially from Quentin Johnson. He was the leading receiver with 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's had like problems in regards to like dropping the football and not being consistent on the field. But I feel like if he can have games like that, where he has 7 yards, 9 yards, and 2 touchdowns and can be consistent like that, I feel like the Chargers can be real good. When it comes to their rushing, Omarion Hampton, he was the leading rusher. You kind of want that to improve because the Chargers and their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, they want to push rushing the football, going down the field, and continuing to put the pressure on the defense, make them tired, and continue to put pressure on them. So the rushing got to get better. I know that comes on the offensive line, which they lost Rashawn Slater to a season-ending injury, which you hate to see that. But as long as Joe and all the people on their team continue to block and continue to provide good offensive line protection for the Chargers, they'll be in good shape. We'll see where these teams go. They're both in the AFC West, and games like this are really important when it comes to winning. Going on to our game, since I'm a Steelers fan, that black and yellow, yes, sir. We beat the Jets in a shootout, which I didn't expect this to be a score, 34-32. That was a crazy game. Watching this game live, my head with my dad, I don't think I had ever had my head hurting more than this game because it was so close throughout the game. Both teams went back and forth. It was overall a really great game, and I thought that was going to be the game of the week until the Sunday Night Football game, which I'll talk about later. First, when it comes to us, and since we won, Aaron Rodgers, he looked really good out there. I mean, really good. 4 touchdowns, 22 of 30, 244, with a cornerback rating of 136.7. He's always have good games like that in the past, and usually never threw like interceptions like that. And he was really good for what he could do, and he looked real good in the pocket, didn't hold the ball, was able to throw the ball out quick. And hopefully we can stay consistent like that throughout the season, and we're able to continue to pull off some momentum and stick with it. When it comes to receivers, DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Juanu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, Ben Skowronek, all of them came into play, and all of them came in to step up for us. It was overall good receiving production. In my opinion, we had good production when it comes to receivers. And hopefully DK Metcalf can especially lead us to more wins and be that lead wide receiver that we paid. Because he got paid this offseason for a bunch coming from Seattle. So hopefully he can step up. Calvin Austin, he can be that second option for us, for that deep ball target for us. I feel like it could be a really good game for us this season because we need more receivers to step up. And we need more production out of our receiver room. And if we can get other people involved, like Juanu Smith and Pat Freiermuth, I feel like we'll be really good. When it comes to rushing the ball, the rushing was not good, in my opinion. Jaylen Warren, our leading rusher was Jaylen Warren, which he had only 37 rushing yards. And Kenneth Gainwell, 19 rushing yards. You cannot win games. Thankfully, I'm about to say we already have Aaron Rodgers step up like this, but you need to have the balanced attack in order to win games. And Aaron Rodgers winning the game like this helped us, but us rushing, it has to be better. We can't have 37 yards be our lead rusher, averaging 3.4 yards a carry. That's not going to do much. And especially because I must say we need to get less pressure off Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they need to do better with that. And then I wanted them to use Caleb Johnson more, but he's more of the returner, which I mean, it's his first game, but you wanted to see him run the ball more. He only had 1 rushing yard for just -2 yards. That's not ideal. So hopefully next week and the weeks after, he's able to be integrated in the offense more. And as far as our defense really struggled when it comes to the run and stopping the ball and passing. Justin Fields was able to throw all over the field, and then Breece Hall was able to run our defense. So I know our Harmon's out right now due to injury, and he's not going to be back for a few weeks. But Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Keanu Benton, all the people down in our defensive line linebackers, they got to get better, which I feel like they will, but if we don't improve the rushing and is able to stop the run, then we're going to get killed every game. And then as far as the defensive backs, I feel like they played a solid game. Jalen Ramsey was really good for us. Darius Slay, I feel like he was going to be a lot by Garrett Wilson, but he's not supposed to be like the first string cornerback. That's for Joey Porter. I feel like he'll be better. I feel like overall the defense should be better. You know, you hate to see Deshaun Elliott go down, but we signed Jabril Peppers this past week, and hopefully he can come in and be a spark for us within this year and continue to be consistent. As far as the New York Jets, they were really good. They were able to show that they have an offense that's capable. I feel like some people underrated them and thought they weren't going to be as good. But after this weekend, they showed that they can move the ball and run with the football and pass and do everything. And if Justin Fields is able to play like how he played this weekend, I think they have the franchise quarterback they've been looking for since Joe Namath, which is best quarterback, but that was all the way to the 70s. So hopefully they can figure that out. Hopefully Justin Fields can figure it out because I feel like he has a potential, but he's never gotten the opportunity like that. So I'm hoping that he can step up and continue to be good this year. The next major game that I don't want to talk about is the Bengals and Browns game. I want to talk about that because it's crazy. Me and my dad are Steelers fans, so my mom and sister are Bengals fans. So whenever they face each other, it gets hostile in the house. Don't we be talking to each other, and I'm gonna say me and my dad catch strays for like a team. I'm like, we don't even do anything. We're catching strays. It was crazy. They faced the Browns and barely beat the Browns. They struggled a lot against the Browns. I guess you could say the Browns locked them down in a way. I think it was just overall just not good offense by the Bengals. Because throughout the whole game, it was a struggle for them, especially in the second half. They only had 7 yards. I don't even know how they won the game, but overall, they had 7 yards in the second half, which is crazy, especially for them. And they are out rushing yards, basically overpowered in yards. Literally, the Browns had 327 yards, and the Bengals had 141 yards, and they still won the game. The offense got to be better. Defense, they held their own against the Browns. I mean, it is the Cleveland Browns, one of the worst teams, but I must say the Bengals on defense, they didn't allow the Browns to do much. So that was a good showing by them. And I'm hoping we're able to see them be better. To my mom, I hope they struggle and lose every game. No, I'm just joking. The later game, the Sunday Night Football game, I'm going over in the main games, which I thought the Jets and our game was going to be the game of the week. Nah, this game right here between the Ravens and Bills, that was chef's kiss of one of the best games. The Bills and Ravens were first going back and forth, and then during the second half, the Ravens took control of it. Were up 40-25. So I wasn't watching. I was doing homework, and I kept track of the game. And my sister, child Layla, she was in the process of watching the game and told me about the updates. And so I saw it was 40-25, and then she called and said that Josh Allen threw an interception. So I was like, oh, this game's over. Then when I looked at the score again, it was 40-32. I was like, oh, I got to come downstairs. And the Bills were able to take advantage and come out and score. They missed the 2-point conversion, and they were able to come down the field and get a game-winning field goal. That's got to be one of the best games in recent memory, maybe in NFL history. I don't think everyone's seen anything like this because I have a stat. Any team that's been down 15 with 4 minutes to go, their record has been 3 wins and 3,000-plus losses. And the Bills are one of those teams that got added to the list that came down. So that just shows how crazy that game was. The Bills, that was a big booster from them. The Ravens, when it comes to the Ravens, they are always points where they look dominant, are able to capitalize a lot. But when it comes to certain big moments, it seems like they can falter or struggle a little bit when it comes to that and not able to take advantage. And this is one of those games. So I feel like the Ravens will still be good, and the Ravens should still take advantage of the schedule and be good throughout the season. But just overall, the Bills, Josh Allen, he went crazy out there, Derek Henry from the Ravens went good. Zay Flowers went good. The Ravens, like Lamar Jackson is always a beast. And so that was just a good back and forth game. And both of these teams are going to be both Super Bowl contenders and going to be the playoffs. So I see both of them doing good. And then the Vikings beat the Bears, which the Vikings were down. J.J. McCarthy looked like they were struggling. The Bears, they're looking good. Caleb Williams was staying poised in the pocket, was able to read defense well. But then at the end, they collapsed, and the Bears were struggling. The defense of the Vikings played good, and the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, he scored overall 3 touchdowns in his last 3 possessions. If J.J. McCarthy can carry that momentum he had at the end and was able to make them come back, the Vikings should be good like they were last year. Overall, week 1 was absolutely great football. I'm just happy football season's overall back. Everyone loves football. I mean, some people, listen to them may not love football, but personally for me, if you're a sport fan, you love that football season's back. So I'm happy about that. And then looking for like predictions, this Thursday night football, tomorrow is going to be a big game between the Commanders and Packers. Both are coming off good wins, dominant wins, and both are coming off good games for both teams. I'm hoping that it could be a really close game. If I had to pick a team to win, that's pretty tough because Jay and Daniels and their offense is really good. The Packers, they got a good defense and offense. So I can see either one. If I had to guess it's in Green Bay, I'll go with the Packers because their defense shut down the Lions, which the Lions really struggled out there last week. And their offense was really good. And so I got the Packers being the Commanders. Our game, I got us being, I'm hoping that we could beat the Seahawks this weekend. And we're able to keep Sam Darnold in check and lock him down. Philly versus Chiefs, that I don't know. I'm undecided. I can see the Eagles winning, but I can see Kansas City pulling off some Taylor Swift magic and having the Chiefs winning. So I don't know. That's up in the air. But if I had to choose a team, I'll go with the Eagles just because the Chiefs are struggling with their pieces. And then the main Monday Night Football game I'll be looking forward to is the Buccaneers and the Rockets and the Texans. And if I had to pick between that game, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers because they have the complete offense. They have defensive people that can come to the offense and get C.J. Stroud, which Houston's offensive line are really not good, did not look good. And if Tampa Bay can get to C.J. Stroud, it's going to be a really tough night for him. So those are all my predictions and everything in regards to football. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about everything basketball and all the situations happening in that. So we will be right back. Welcome back to the Vibing with JJ podcast. Right now, when it comes to the NBA and basketball, first off, I'm a big Los Angeles Lakers fan. I've been a fan since 2010 when the Lakers beat the Celtics in the NBA Finals. My favorite player of all time is Kobe. Just how he was able to make tough shots, how tough he was, how intimidating he was when he played, him able to focus, work hard, and use that Mamba mentality for all the stuff that he did. It's just super motivating and so sad to see that he's not with us. I didn't even know when it happened because I think I was in church and it was like during like Glee Club. I still remember the days on January 26, 2020. It was a Glee Club because I was part of Glee Club in high school. And we didn't have to go to our class or performance because during that time, January, February, is when we're about to do like prepare for our musical show. And during that day, you didn't have to come. And so I went to get some stuff to do my hair. And so randomly, I just looked at Twitter and all of a sudden I just see Kobe Bryant passed away. And I saw that. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And I looked to see anyone on all this stuff and they said it's true. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't able to cry until 2 days later because I was so sad that he passed away. I feel like it's like one of the biggest deaths since Michael Jackson or since Prince happened. So Rest in peace to Kobe. That's my favorite player of all time. I've been a Lakers fan even when they weren't good. Ever since 2010, and still been a fan to this day, and probably will be a diehard fan because of Kobe. I'll probably be a fan of the Lakers forever. So, that's my fandom when it comes to being a Lakers fan. What right now, the two biggest stories that I want to talk about is the situation regarding Kawhi Leonard and Ben Simmons. Right now, when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, he's in some hot water, and there's an NBA investigation because there's been an investigation saying that the Clippers arranged $28 million for a no-show endorsement for Kawhi Leonard called Aspiration. And basically, Aspiration, they went recently bankrupt, and basically they're saying like every so money that's donated will plant a tree somewhere. So the thing I'm about to say, it was built at a certain time, I think in 2021, and then Steve Ballmer, the Clipper owner, months later, was a partner or was able to be signed, helped with the Aspiration company. Then a few months after that, Kawhi Leonard signed, and then a few months after that, that's when Kawhi Leonard, under his investigation, was able to sign with Aspiration. So basically, he's in trouble because he basically got paid $28 million to avoid the salary cap, which you can't do that. So the Clippers could be some hot water. The last time something like this happened was with a basketball player called Joe Smith. There's a scandal with the Timberwolves where Joe Smith was the first overall pick in the 1995 NBA draft, and he didn't really live up to the hype and was signed to the 76ers. But then in 1999, he signed a one-year deal with the Timberwolves, and he did that for, I think, about 2 or 3 more years until there was this dispute his last year, and there's a lawsuit involved, and the NBA did an investigation about that. Basically, the investigation found that Joe Smith signed one-year deals so that the Timberwolves can get his bird rights, and so they can get more money added to his contract. So he kept on doing that, and the Timberwolves got busted for doing that. And so their consequence for doing that, they had to get a $3.5 million fine. Joe Smith's 3-year contracts were nullified, and his bird rights were revoked. And they lost 5 first-round draft picks. Their 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004 and 2005 draft picks. Their owner at the time was suspended from team operations for 9 months, and Kevin McHale was placed on an unpaid leave for a year. So that's the extent of how serious the situation can get when it comes to the whole basketball and everything big like that. So with Kawhi Leonard, I don't know what the consequence could be. It could be something on that level, because if this could not only affect Clippers and Steve Ballmer, they can affect the overall NBA's image. So the NBA wants to clear that up. So the Clippers could be in really big trouble. And I've seen that the only way that Clippers won't get all the way in trouble is if they release Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi Leonard could get released and signed to any other team. He could still play basketball, and the Clippers could suffer the consequences and lose first-round picks, lose money. Steve Ballmer can get in trouble by the NBA. They could be in really deep hot water. So Clippers, it's not looking good for them, Kawhi Leonard, their owner, or anything in that situation. So we'll see where this leads to, and if this leads to anything else, it'll be an interesting story. The other story I want to talk about is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, he's struggling right now to find a team. His agent dropped him because the most that teams are offering Ben Simmons right now is just 1 year minimum deals. But Ben Simmons keeps on declining the options or the offers because he thinks he's worth them more than money, but his production recently has not spoke to that. And so his agent basically dropped him as his agent because he was getting deals from like the New York Knicks, and he kept on declining. So his agent got frustrated and dropped him as a client. And it's just been a tough few years for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, during his like official rookie year, 2016, he broke like his foot during the preseason or during the summer league / preseason, and so he was out for the whole year. 2018 to 2021, he was a good player. I'm about to say average, basically stats of like if I had to average like 15, 7-7 or 15, 8-8, and he was really good. The only thing that was his problem is he couldn't shoot. He was a good defender, good playmaker, good ball handler, could do anything. The only thing he couldn't do was shoot. There's times where he refused to shoot or scared to shoot, and that led to the 2021 playoffs where he could have made a dunk over Trae Young and Danilo Gallinari, which Trae Young is like 6'1", Ben Simmons is 6'10", and he could have dunked it, but instead he passed up the ball due to the fact that he couldn't shoot free throws. And so that led to everyone, like all 76ers fans, hating Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers questioning if at the time if he could be on a championship team. So that led to Ben Simmons holding out and not wanting to be on the team. And so he got traded to the Nets and wasn't really able to play for the Nets for like a year and a half because of his back. And, you know, people were like, oh, Ben Simmons, he doesn't want to get out there because he wants to like fake injuries and take all the money, which he got paid like $30 million originally by Sixer. So we were like, oh, he doesn't want to play. He wants to just sit on the sideline, just take money and just call it a day. But the truth is his back is like really injured. He's had to get multiple surgeries, and there's been multiple games where he's had problems with injuries. And so trying to balance all that out and trying to do all that, he's had tough production. Like during his time with the Nets, it said he averaged like 6 points, close to 7 rebounds, 7 assists. It's just he hasn't been able to shoot and produce with his injuries and his living the game, and I guess not wanting to improve. So in order for him to last, which he's had said that maybe he might retire due to all the complication and everything, the only way that he's going to get accepted by an NBA team if he wants to continue his career is if he becomes a backup, because no one's going to be willing to start Ben Simmons because he can't shoot. He can play, mate, rebound, still kind of defend, ball handle, but he can't shoot or make free throws, which you don't want that when it comes to a basketball player. You need to have some type of range when it comes to being an overall good player and being consistent. So he's going through a tough situation. Hopefully he's able to turn everything around and get a contract somewhere, because he's at his best. He was a really good scorer, especially during his rookie year when Joel Embiid got injured and it was him running the show during his 2017-28 rookie year. He was really good, and I thought like that at the time, maybe you can break up Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and let Ben Simmons control the team. It just gives shooters around him and they'll be successful. But see where it came from that to where it is now, just a sad thing to see. So you hate to see stuff like that, and hopefully he can turn it around. But here's some other developments, and I'll talk about my team like a few minutes since I got like 4 minutes left. When it comes to our team, I'm excited for our team. Luka slimmed down, and he's looking really healthy, and hopefully he can be like that, because I've seen stuff where he looked healthy in the offseason, but it decided to be a different result in the later in the season. So hopefully he can stay motivated and can still produce at a high level and get locked in and maybe win MVP and win the championship for the Lakers. LeBron, I think this is probably going to be LeBron's last year. Year 23. He wears it to number 23 in the All-Star game this year in LA. I believe that this year will be the last year for LeBron, which LeBron is also my second favorite player of all time. Him and Jordan, between the GOAT debate, I got them tied. And hopefully those two can lead the Lakers to success. They can improve their depth by adding people like Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, re-signing Gabe Vincent. So they still have the pieces to compete. They had to just see how J.J. Redick coaches, which I feel like I'm about to say the way how the Lakers lost at the end wasn't really ideal, but it's J.J. Redick's first year's coaching, so I feel like he should improve as the second year goes on. Since it was his first time coaching, he never had any coaching experience. So I feel like he should do better this year. and should be really good. Homeland's a really good year, and we can make it to the championship and win a championship. And Luka has one, and LeBron will have one. I'll officially call LeBron the GOAT. I think when he retires, I'll call LeBron the GOAT. But overall, I want that the Lakers do good. So that's all my things I have for today when it comes to football or basketball. Tune in next week to my show for more football and basketball predictions / look at stuff that happened this past weekend. And to end off every show, I'm gonna end it with a dad joke of the day. So today's dad joke of the day is, what do you say if you lose 25% of your roof? Oof. That's it. That's the joke. That's the end of the show, and have a good day.